So it says here, from the following mappings, list which ones are functions, which are not. Write down which diagram represents a one-to-one, a many-to-one, a one-to-many, and a many-to-many. So let's start with D. And before we begin, let us recall what is the definition of a function. A function is a mapping whereby each domain, each x value, these are the values on the left, okay? Or if you're talking about x and y axis, on the horizontal axis, maps only onto one range, the y values are on the right here, okay, which are on the vertical axis in the x and y axis. So in other words, each x value has to map only onto one y value. Each x value maps onto only one y value to be a function. Now let's look at D. And as we do in D, we do in part B, A and B one time. So is this a function? Let's look at the x. 0 is an x, it maps onto 5 alone. 3 is an x, it maps onto 8 alone. 6 is an x, it maps onto 5 alone. 7 maps onto 5 alone. 9 maps onto 8 alone. So clearly D is a function. Now let's see what type of a function it is. When we look closely, we're seeing both 6 and 7 mapping onto 5. So many mapping onto 1. 3 and 9 mapping onto 8. Well, not only 6 and 7, no. 0, 6 and 7 mapping onto 5. 3 and 9 mapping onto 8. So many mapping onto 1. So that's a many-to-one mapping, which is also a function. Why is a function? Because each x value have only one y. Each domain has only one range. So it is a function. And furthermore, it is a many-to-one function. And by the way, there are two types of functions, many-to-ones and one-to-one. So that's a many-to-one function, it's a many-to-one mapping. Now let's inspect E. This x value maps onto 1. This x 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 maps onto 1. As you can see, each x for E, each x is mapping onto 1 also. All right, each one have only one arrow leaving them. Each x has only one arrow leaving them. So therefore now E is a function. Now, what kind of mapping? It appears, it looks like it's a many-to-one because you have both those two x's mapping onto 1. Well, 3 of them, 1, 2, 3 mapping onto 1. Those two, they're mapping onto 1. So it is a function and it's also a many-to-one function, just like D. And a many-to-one mapping also. So E is a function and furthermore, it is a many-to-one. Let's look at F now. 10 maps onto 15 alone, 20 maps onto 45 alone, 30 maps onto 25 alone, and 40 maps onto 45 alone. So F is a function. Now, what type of a function? What type of a mapping? As you can see, only one arrow leaving 10, one arrow reaching 15, one arrow reaching 25, one arrow reaching 35, one arrow reaching 45. So it's a one-to-one. So F is a function and it is a one-to-one function or one-to-one mapping. Okay. So there are two types of functions, many-to-ones and one-to-ones.